Let me set the scene for you. It's date night and it's finally time to really impress him or her with your cooking. Light the candles and pour some wine. Then you take your food out of the oven and it is an absolute disaster. Your date leaves before dessert and you start to question if you'll ever find love. Now we've all been there, but I'm here to make sure it never happens again. Today we're making 3 easy date night recipes. A chicken, fish, and steak that have that little extra oomph that are guaranteed to impress and quite possibly make them fall in love. Let's get started. All right, so dish number 1 is a whole roasted chicken. Now I believe everybody needs to learn how to roast a chicken. Super easy to do. It is a showstopper and perfect for date night. So this here is an average sized roasting bird. It is air chilled, so it's a little bit higher quality. Costs about $10 versus like the $5 cheaper one. But anytime I'm cooking for somebody and really want to impress them, I try to start with the highest quality ingredients I can. And to go with it, we're making a really nice sauce. So the key to the best chicken possible is to spatchcock it. And all you're gonna need are some kitchen shears. You can use a knife, but kitchen shears make it a little bit easier. Flip the bird over and you'll find that backbone right here. All we're gonna do is cut through both sides to remove it. So you can kind of grab it by the tail and just slice, starting on one side of that backbone, and it should be able to go through pretty easily. Ooh, looks like we got a male chicken. Now just gonna go through the other side. Now we're gonna save this for later. Now we're just gonna flip it back over, unfold the legs like so, and now we're gonna apply pressure to the top to sort of flatten it out. And you should hear that crack. That was satisfying. It's like a chiropractor. So now we have this really nice flat shape. All the skin will crisp evenly and the dark meat will cook faster than the more lean white meat. Now this step is optional, but I like to add some herbs under the skin for a little extra flavor. So all we're gonna do is make some little pockets by separating the skin from the flesh. You can do this over the top side as well as on the dark meat. And I just have a combination of rosemary, parsley, and thyme, and I'm just gonna get it under the skin. No need to be perfect with it, just get as much in there as you can. And feel free to get creative with the herb mix. Some people add butter, but I don't always feel it's necessary. And next up, we're gonna season this entire bird with some kosher salt. Just make sure to get all the nooks and crannies and hit it pretty well with that salt. And make sure to get both sides. And we're also gonna hit it with some black pepper. From here, I just like to tuck in those wings like so. It just makes for more even browning on that top section. And from here, it is technically ready for the oven, but if you have time, best case, throw it on a rack and let it dry brine for at least an hour, but overnight is best. And after a couple hours, that salt has worked its way in there, seasoning the meat deeply, but more importantly, that skin is now super dry for better crisping. Now I'm just gonna hit it with a touch of oil just to help even more with the crisping, and it's pretty much ready for the oven. And get it in there at 450 Fahrenheit. Okay, our chicken is in the oven, but we gotta remember, this is date night, so we have to make it a little bit fancy. So we're gonna make a really delicious, but still very simple sauce, and it all starts with this backbone. We're just gonna start by chopping it up into little bite-sized pieces. And this backbone is filled with incredible flavors that we're gonna take advantage of. And now we're just gonna heat up a high smoke point oil, like avocado oil. And now we're just gonna add in that chicken backbone. And we're just gonna let these take on color for a few minutes. Now we're just gonna add in 1 stalk of celery, 1 carrot, and a medium onion. And just make sure to scrape off all that flavor on the bottom. And now we're gonna deglaze with about a cup of a dry white wine. You can also use something like sherry or vermouth. And we're also gonna add about a cup of water. I'm gonna add some thyme and a bay leaf and just season with some salt and pepper. Now we're just gonna let this reduce for probably about 20 minutes. Okay, so we've let this simmer down. Now we're gonna strain out the solids. And now we'll just continue reducing this until it starts to thicken up. And after another 5 or 10 minutes, it is quite reduced. So I turned off the heat. We're gonna add in a couple tablespoons of butter, a little squeeze of lemon, and just a couple dashes of Worcestershire. And what we're left with is this super flavorful and silky sauce that's really gonna take this chicken to the next level. So we let this cook until the thighs reached at least 175 Fahrenheit, at which point the white meat reached around 155 and is still super juicy. And just check out this skin. Perfectly golden brown and crispy. And make sure you rest this for at least 10 to 15 minutes. So to break it down, we're gonna start by just removing this guy here. Should easily come right off. And now we're just gonna come in here with a slice to remove the wing. Like so. And to remove the breast, we're just gonna follow that breastbone and sort of peel away that breast meat. And now we're just gonna slice against the grain, and doing it this way allows us to get a beautiful piece of that crispy skin in every bite. And when cooked correctly, the white meat should still be glistening and be very juicy. And for better serving on the dark meat, and cut through here, leaving us with 2 pieces. And just like that, dish number 1 is complete. We have that juicy chicken and golden brown skin, those super crispy potatoes. Gotta serve it with a glass of wine for your date. And I promise you, this dish right here is guaranteed to impress. Going for a bite. That right there is literally restaurant quality food, and it's super easy to make at home. Let's move on. And it is time for dish number 2, Miso Black Cod with sesame broccolini. It is a super elegant dish and shockingly easy to make. And this here is black cod, otherwise known as sable fish. And the dish we're making was really popularized by the restaurant Nobu. Now the key here is that marinade. We'll need a 1/4 cup of mirin, 1/4 cup of sake, a 1/4 cup of white miso, a 1/4 cup of sugar, and just a little bit of soy sauce. And just whisk to combine, making sure to get that sugar fully dissolved. And just place in those fillets to marinate. Now, best case, you want to marinate these at least a few hours, but ideally 1 to 2 days. Now let's move on to that broccolini. So this right here is broccolini. It's basically like broccoli's little brother, but it's tastier and just feels way more premium. The first step is to drop these into boiling water for literally just like 2 or 3 minutes to blanch. And then we're just gonna dunk these right into some ice cold water to stop the cooking process. Next, we're gonna get our pan hot, add in some sesame oil, some garlic, ginger, and add in that broccolini. Gonna add in a little bit of chili sauce and get that all incorporated. And for a little extra color here at the end, a bit of soy sauce. The broccolini is essentially cooked at this point. Now we're just looking to develop some color. And once that evaporates, just finish it off with some sesame seeds. All right, it's been a few hours. Let's finish up this fish. So we're gonna be broiling this fish, so the cook time will be quite fast. And even though I only marinated it for a couple hours, as you can see, we have really nice color as that flavor has started to penetrate. Feel free to paint on a bit more of that marinade, then into an oven to broil. And after just 10 minutes, this fish is looking incredible. So black cod do have pin bones, and it's a lot easier to take them out once you cook it. Sliding them right out. Now the last thing we want is your date to be choking on bones. And with that, dish number 2 is complete. And I gotta say, the color on that fish is absolutely beautiful. And it's crazy to think there was only like 5 ingredients that went into that marinade, leaving us with this incredible result. And just finishing it with a little salt on top. We have that beautiful caramelization on the outside and really nice flaky flesh on the inside. And you can see this thing is insanely juicy. Let's go for a taste. Wow, that is absolutely phenomenal. It almost reminds me of like Chilean sea bass with that butteriness, but you do have like that Japanese flair with the miso. Very few ingredients, super easy to make. Now, if you are enjoying these recipes, please do us a favor, like the video. If you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out and Tibby quite a bit. But either way, let's move on to what I'm most excited about, and I think Tibby is too, the steak. I think he's sleepy from all that fish he just had. And last but not least, it is time for the steak. Now, if I'm being honest, the past 2 dishes, those were sort of appetizers in my opinion. If it's date night, you already know we're cooking steak. So this right here is a giant filet mignon. Now, usually I'm more of like a ribeye kind of guy, but when it's date night, it is sometimes a good idea to go with something a little more light, and the filet is perfect for that. Now, the filet lacks a lot of the fat that something like a ribeye would have, but as you can see, this one is extremely well marbled. And if you're gonna grab one, try to go with a center cut, meaning a nice cylinder shape with as much of that marbling as you can find. Now, the start to any good steak is to dry brine it. So we're gonna hit it with a good amount of kosher salt on all sides. Dry brining not only seasons the meat deeply, but it's also gonna really dry out that exterior, allowing us to get a better crust. And on a cut like this, you can definitely be liberal with that salt. Next, get it on a rack and let this sit uncovered in the fridge at least an hour, but ideally overnight. And it has been overnight. And as you can see, our steak has taken on quite a dark color, but it's completely dried out and exactly where we want it to be. Now we're just gonna hit it with a little bit of oil. This is sort of acting as a binder and also gonna help it crisp up. So it's already fully salted. So now we're just gonna hit it with some black pepper. Just make sure to get all the sides. And now we're gonna put our steak back on a rack, and we're gonna be using the reverse sear method. This is gonna allow us to cook this steak super evenly with a nice edge to edge, rare to medium rare, and also give us time to cook the rest of the dish. For the side dish, we'll be making a parsnip puree, but in honor of Valentine's Day, we're actually gonna make it pink with a beet. I have about a pound of parsnips, and we're just gonna start by peeling them. Then just gonna remove that root end, then slice them up into even pieces. And for the beet, all we'll need is a small chunk to give us that nice pink color. We're gonna get these into boiling water to start cooking. Whew. Also adding in that beet and a clove of garlic. And once those parsnips are soft, we're just gonna strain them out. Now just gonna add all of them into our blender. Next, gonna add in a couple tablespoons of half and half for a nice creamy texture and to kind of thin it out. About a tablespoon of butter, some freshly chopped thyme, some salt, and freshly cracked black pepper. And time to blend. All right, here we go. So I'm using a small blender here, so kind of gotta work with it. That should be just about good. And we're left with this beautiful pink puree that is perfect for the holiday. And our steak has reached 123 Fahrenheit. So at this point, our steak should be a perfect rare to medium rare all the way through. The only thing left to do is give it a quick sear for that perfect crust. The steak is completely cooked at this point, so we want extremely high heat to develop the crust without overcooking the inside. We got a really nice looking crust on this thing. And of course, got my machete, slice into it. It's raw. This to me is just about perfect for a filet. Pretty much perfect edge to edge medium rare on that. This right here doesn't impress your date. Honestly, it's probably time to get a new date. And with that, our Valentine's Day steak is just about complete. Of course, need a little red wine, some smoked flaky salt just to finish, a simple red wine reduction, and some balsamic over the caprese salad. This might be a Valentine's Day themed video, but I'll be honest, this is something I'd be happy eating any day of the week. It's simple, but just so tasty. Going for a bite. Everybody seems to hate on the filet mignon, but every time I eat it, it's actually super delicious. It's so tender, goes great with that puree. All right, well, that is it. I wish all of you the best of luck on your date and Valentine's Day cooking adventures, and I'll see you next time.